Hall of Fame shit, nigga. Keep it, come on, get out there, get out there. Good catch, my boy. 5 Unit Nation, man, number 1, man.
Oh my God, run this shit up, man. Go on, we found.
What up, y'all? Welcome back to another extended version of Same Goals, Different Circle podcast. I am your host, Ajay Brown. If you've never heard of me before, my name is Ajay Brown. I talk politics, music, sports, relationship, mental health. I have been just doing a lot of extended versions lately, y'all. Please, if you are new to the channel, subscribe, comment. I appreciate all the new subscribers, the new comments. I reply and check them all out. I do appreciate y'all. So today, y'all, I'm gonna do a extended reaction to the Shannon Sharp interview with Nick Cannon. I ain't gonna hold y'all too long, man. Let's go ahead and get started with this.
Jesus is hanging on to the M and the 8.
Have you ever had a relationship where they say, Nick, you got to get rid of that, bro?
Oh, well, you can't necessarily. You have to look real close, and ain't nobody behind me. Mariah can still see that it's in Mariah. If I gotta tell her, it's still back there.
All my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle, pay the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice. That's why all my life I've been grinding all my life. Look, all my life, been grinding all my life. Sacrifice, hustle, pay the price. Want a slice, got to roll the dice. That's why all my life I've been grinding all my life.
Hello, welcome to another episode of Club Shay Shay. I am your host, Shannon Sharp. I'm also the proprietor of Club Shay Shay. We would first like to thank Double Barrel and the Whiskey Shop for having us today's episode of Club Shay Shay. If you're in Beverly Hills, come by for a drink in this elegant lounge. Now, on to today's episode. Stopping by for conversation and a drink today, he's a cultural icon, a phenom, and a true pioneer. He's a media mogul that's built an empire. He's the youngest chairman in TV history. He's the youngest staff writer in TV history. He's been in the spotlight for almost 30 years, a renowned superstar in all areas of show business, a jack of all trades, a man of multiple talents, a highly successful performer, prolific host, a talented producer, an actor, musician, songwriter, screenwriter, rapper, DJ, director, presenter, comedian, creator, singer, radio and TV personality, and an author. He's an active and a philanthropist, a creative genius with an entrepreneurial force. He's helped so many entertainers and creators become household names. A proud father, here he is, Mr. Incredible, Nick Cannon.
Wow. The treat was players meat, man.
Bro, we got to toast that.
Yeah,
we got to toast that.
With the Lord's tonic.
Thank you.
With Base 44, a simple sentence becomes your website.
Bro, thanks for stopping by. We really appreciate your time.
It's long overdue, man.
Let's go all the way back.
Let's do it.
Your upbringing.
Yeah.
Raised by your grandparents.
Yeah.
Normally when that happens, parents get divorced or parents became young parents.
Yeah.
So your case
is the latter. My parents were teenagers when they had me.
Wow.
Yeah. I went to my dad's high school graduation.
What?
Yeah. We got pictures and everything. But I mean, it was a beautiful upbringing because not to take anything away from my parents because they were definitely involved.
They were kids themselves.
Yeah, but I was saying, my grandmother raised us all.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It was my father's mother.
Okay.
So he went off to, become a minister in North Carolina.
Okay.
Like, he was kind of living the street life and got his life together, gave it to the Lord.
Okay.
And then so, his I guess their deal, my father and his mother were like, look, you go get your education, get out, Southern California, San Diego, California, and was like, and I'll take care of, your child and his mother. And my mom was, hustling, working hard herself,
right.
Night school, nursing jobs, all of that. So then they were teenagers.
Right.
So we kind of all grew up together. They were 17 years old and I was a baby.
They didn't drop out of school. They graduated, but they had to get the hustle because now they brought a life in and you got to take care of that. Exactly. Even though your grandma was going to handle it, y'all take care of what y'all need to take care of.
And my dad was kind of like, you know, he had his own success story as well, to go from the street life, getting arrested, doing God knows what during that time, and to be able to, you know, give his life to the Lord and then go graduate from college. Right. You know, so we were all proud of him, even though we weren't, you know, close in proximity. Right. It was still a close-knit family.
You had a song called Can I Live that's dedicated to your mom. When she heard that song for the very first time, what was her reaction? Man, tears. She still can't listen to it. You know what I mean? Like, it's still one of those things. If you watch the music video, it's like that was the only time I could convince her to kind of, I was like, Mom, you got to be in this scene with me. It's about you. And just the whole set was just full of tears. Right. I mean, like, when you think of that, just the power of a woman, you know, sacrificing so much, especially at such a young age, when everyone around you is telling you you shouldn't have this child. Like, you're a kid, what are you doing? Right. And then for her to be me, man, I was like, I'll be forever in debt to my mother. So she did, well, she wasn't thinking about it, but they tried to convince her because she was so young to terminate the pregnancy.
Yeah, especially back then. Yeah. You know, it had to be, you know,
child out of wedlock, you know, black community, boy, they frowned upon that.
Yeah, and then even like my dad had just really became a born again Christian and changed his life, and he was like, "Yo, I can't have a baby. Like, everybody in the church is looking bad at me. I'm supposed to be a youth leader in the church, and then I'm still outside."
As bad as they say they look at it, it's very common, unfortunately, in the black community of kids having children's young and shit like that, man. It's a very, I don't know why it's so popular, but a lot of us try to, like, we frown upon it. And yeah, like, it's a touchy situation, because we frown upon it because it is a bad thing. Like, you don't want your kids to have kids, or you don't want to put that pressure on your grandparents or the parents or anything like that, man. But I think it's just a touchy situation in my case right now, and I guess that's why I feel this way versus when he was talking about this. But I do know a lot of people that can relate to this, just being born young. Or I got a homie that was saying, you know, told me that his mom had him when he was 13. So I know a lot of people that grew up in this situation. Shit, I was young when I had my kids, you know what I mean? I wasn't as young, but I was still young. So, like, it's way more popular than we have seen. It's like, because a lot of us don't grow up seeing our parents together. A lot of us don't even see our parents getting along. So it's like, I don't know, man. Like, I hope one day that this scenario or this situation change where we're having our kids out of wedlock. But I ain't gonna lie to y'all, bro. Like, the image you see as far as marriage ain't as popular as people think it is, bro. Because marriage is a team thing, and it's supposed to be something that's like, it's supposed to be y'all together. It's supposed to be one. And a lot of times now, I don't see that. I see that everybody's for themselves. Communication's not there. Still lies. And that image, if you bring that around your kids or just anybody, bro, people be watching. You never know who's watching, and it can do some damage to that next person, because now you start questioning, well, is that what marriage is all about? And especially when you start seeing it over and over and over again, it gets to a point where you start asking, like, do I really even want to deal with this? Do I want this? Is that something I want for myself or my family? So it's just, I don't know, man. I hate to see it like that.
So, not, you know, it's funny because the story, you know, it varies now. They want to be, nah, that was your mama. like, but I'm sure at that time, where there's a teenage girl who's pregnant, everybody's like, yo, this is not a good idea.
Yeah, especially,
yeah. So I'm, you know, so grateful more than anything to both of my parents, but mainly my mother, for saying, you know, I had a voice inside me and I listened to it. And, you know, like in the video, it's dramatic because Tatiana Ali was playing my mom, and, you know, I had her just run out of the clinic and open up and just see the light. I don't think it was that dramatic, but my mom says that, like, that voice spoke to her and she just had to get out of there. And then once, you know, rest is history.
So what was your relationship with your mom like Although she was not no although, but she was 17, a teenager at the time, so basically a kid still herself,
absolutely,
and having a child. So what was your relationship? Because obviously you knew who your mom was, but your paternal grandmother
100%
raised you and took you in. So what was that type of relationship?
It was a great relationship. I think in the past I would always kind of tell the story as like if it was my grandmother who solely raised me, but like my mother was in the house as well. And like once she got her own spot, I would be with her on the weekends and go back to school with my grandma. So like we were all family. It was never really like a debate, and I never want to take anything away from like all that my mother had to do. She was just being mothered by my grandmother as well, and like obviously my dad was out of state, so we were all just connected. They kind of brought me up together, but my grandmother has been and always will be the matriarch.
Right.
Yeah.
Did that have any impact on? Because it's interesting. How did your mom, that situation? Do you think that had any impact on how you are now as a man?
100%. I mean, I would even give it more to my grandmother in that sense. I think I have an old soul because of my grandmother, and kind of as always, like. When you got them old school big mom and them, like you just stuck in their ways because you doing
that's all you know.
That's all you know. You know what I mean? We doing country stuff, living in California, eating canned sardines. You know what I mean? Like that's not. So I kind of picked up like her old school ways, but then also understanding that my mother was more like, my sibling, or I'd say like me and my dad grew up there. That's like my big brother, but I give them all the respect as my parents. Right. But I just was raised by a older ilk of people. Like,
do you call your mom and dad, or do you call them by your first name? Because a lot of times,
that's that new age stuff.
Okay.
I just got a few mamas. I got my mama who's my dad's mom, and I call my mom mother. Like it's just like it's one of those things. And obviously my dad got remarried, so I always just had a lot of love around me, but it was the utmost respect at all time. I bet not call them by their first name.
Because I found that always that people would call their mom, call them by their first name, because a lot of times when you have young parents, that's what you hear everybody else call them. And so you and they end up calling their mom and dad. What calling people because like dang. Because I got a first cousin, and she grew up around us, and we called her mom Mary Nell, and that's what she called her, Mary Nell. Right. And she called Granny, she would call Granny Mama, and that's what she called her mama.
Exactly. Everybody got that. Like I have a 107-year-old grandmother out of Kannapolis, North Carolina. Wow. Still, she on Facebook. Everything. She run the little old spot. But everybody calls her, mama or grandma Green but she's literally my great grandmother. Wow. My kid's great grandmother. So
and she's still very active. Still gets around.
But everybody, and like her son, who is my grandfather, they all call him by his first name, and you know what I mean. Like, it's like I bet not. Well, his street name was Lonesome. I literally have it tatted on my neck. But that was one of those things where it's like everybody had 2 or 3 different names because of how the family structure was going.
The regular season is wrapped, and the NBA playoffs are finally here, and there's no better way to cash in on the high-flying hoops action than Prize Picks, a preferred partner of the NBA. Every basket, every dime, every win means more when you're playing on Prize Picks. So don't pass up the next shot with Prize Picks and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Do it live. 2026 NBA Finals Sweepstake alert. Pick live squares during the NBA playoffs, and you could win a trip for 2 to the NBA Finals. To enter, you just make a $5 lineup with at least one live player pick during any part of the 2026 NBA playoffs. Live player picks are picks made after a game is already in progress. Prize Picks is simple to play. This playoff season, I'm all in on LA. Always LeBron, more. Get in on the action. Prize Picks is now available in all 50 states, including California, Texas, Florida, and Georgia. Download the Prize Pick app today. Use code Shannon to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code Shannon to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, a preferred partner of the NBA. Your dad became a minister. How was it? Because you hear stories about, kids, their parents.
PK.
Man, pastor's kid, man. There'd be some kind of.
It is. I definitely had an interesting upbringing with that because I lived, part part-time with my mom and part-time
His mom.
And then when I got to live with him in North Carolina, I was already set in my ways. It was literally like the Boys in the Hood story. Like my mom and them was like, we can't do nothing with him. And that was, the 90s with gang violence and everybody just wanted to be, from the turf and all that. So they was like, we got to get him out of here. So I, the same way just that Trey pulled up to Lawrence Fishburne house, like that was me. And he's like, yo, we got to get some stuff straight. So he was extremely strict when, it was a biblical house.
Yes.
Everything had to be, by the word. And I wasn't feeling that because I was like, this ain't what our family.
You got me a little earlier.
Yeah.
Like, you set my ways.
I'm already in my khakis and all of that stuff. So but the one thing I always respected is that he treated me like a man. Like he didn't baby me.
Right.
So we created this relationship in my, adolescence that I was like, oh, okay, I can get down with this. He's gonna reason with me.
Right.
We're gonna talk. It's not gonna be threatened with belt.
My bro CJ was telling me about how when he took his little brother in, how he treated him, like, and it was kind of the same way of like, I think he got him a little older though, but when he got his younger brother, but when he came and stayed with his younger brother came and stayed with him, he told me, he was just like, bro, I ain't treat him like a baby, I treat him, more like a young adult, a young man. So I think that works with kids and it works. Sometimes it don't work with everybody, but I have heard good things about people trying that out and doing that type of stuff, treating your child at a certain age like a young adult.
And all of that stuff. He's gonna treat me like a man, and that I think cultivated, ultimately who I became, between just having such an unorthodox upbringing. Made me, I didn't have the typical traditional family structure, but I was still surrounded with love. So I was never judgmental to however things were moving, whether my mom had somebody, my dad had somebody, my grandparents were who they were. So I just embraced it all and just appreciated the love.
Did you feel like you had to be perfect because he is a pastor and everybody's looking at the pastor's kid, that you live that lifestyle also? You're not out there smoking, you're not drinking, you're not running the street. And so he's like, damn, I can't do nothing.
Yeah, I did, but I didn't. I mean, I think it was more than not trying to be perfect. I felt like I probably wasn't cool. That was the first time I let go of trying to be cool.
Okay.
Because ultimately, I'm understanding my relationship with God and saying it don't get no cooler than that. But everybody outside is like, you got to go to church every day. You can't wear this. You can't listen to this.
Right.
So then, again, through my relationship with my father, he was like, I've been outside. I've been in these streets. I know what it's like out there. You don't want that. Right. You know what I mean? Like you want what's, the ultimate reward. And so once I understood that at like 12 and 13, we had our struggles. I remember like he broke and burned my Snoop Dogg tape. The first album, he's like, it's demons on there, son. We got to cast these demons out. But and now, we all friends. Like he knows Snoop Dogg personally. Right. So it's funny that, some of that, mentality, I think he was ultimately just trying to protect me.
Yes.
But he gave me an alternative to be like, look, you can do all of that stuff, but you just can't have the negativity in it. So even though my friends was doing what they was doing, I was still a knucklehead, but I knew I had boundaries.
Yes.
I had
you know how far to push it.
Yeah. So like, and I think that's where the comedy leaned in, where I was like, I knew I could make everybody laugh. I knew, and I was still getting trouble and stuff like that, but I wasn't doing what everybody else was doing. And I feel like I appreciated my dad for saving me from that life, because a lot of the people that were my peers just aren't around anymore.
Were there certain things that you could watch on television, you couldn't watch on television, what you could listen to on the radio, what you could and couldn't wear?
Yeah, the crazy thing, I couldn't do anything. And it's funny. And
you wouldn't let you watch any TV?
No, like we had to watch like Bruce Lee movies. Like that was our only thing. We had VHSs and like mad kung fu movies and stuff like that. But yeah, we didn't have cable. It was either that or, the Lord's content, you know what I mean? It was, we had all the animated Bible stories and all that stuff. But interestingly enough, and I actually shared this with Arsenio Hall when we first got together, is that my dad, I used to sneak up and watch the, late at night, because my dad would be at work, watch Arsenio Hall.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's kind of, I was like, ooh, I want to do that. And then one night he caught me watching Arsenio Hall, and I thought I was in trouble. Well, I was in trouble, but he was like, my punishment was like somewhere he had heard that Arsenio Hall had to write used to write 100 questions for all the interviews that he would do, so he could always be sharp. And he was like, I want you to write 100 questions. We're gonna go around the neighborhood interviewing people. And that was kind of like my intro, and said, you want to do that? I'm gonna show you how to do it. Wow. And I was literally on the word processor. I had to type them out. And that kind of sparked something in me way back then. And, because I never got a chance to watch Martin. You know what I mean? Like, I would hear people at, school talking about, don't you know, no.
Yep, that's how it was for me. Exactly how it was for me until about 10 or 11, growing up as a Jehovah's Witness with my mom. Like, my mom Jehovah's Witness, so it was only so much stuff I could watch as well. So I definitely could relate to that. When you living in a religious household, so there's only so much. You have to sneak and do everything, and that's the start of being rebellious, bro. It's not for everybody. Like, everybody don't end up like that, but some of us just end up in our ways. And I was already really set in my ways growing up, because I wasn't always like, I was always gone, like I was always at somebody else's house. So you see things when you go to other people's house and you start to connect and you like it, and you go against the stuff that you don't like. So I definitely get it.
Good. I had no idea what they was talking about. I was like,
so Martin, the Living Color, all the good stuff that
couldn't watch until
Living Single,
none of that stuff, until I went back to my mom's, like whether it was the summertime.
Okay.
Then I could kind of,
you catch up on it.
Yeah,
you binge watch.
Yeah, exactly. So like, even obviously everybody knows all the lyrics to all the latest rap songs, and it was a culture shock, because I went from my mom, who let me kind of do whatever I wanted and kind of move free. And like I always tell people, like, my mom at the time, like, she was married to one of the biggest D-boys in the hood, like, so we had money, and like and then as soon as it switched, it was just a culture shock more than anything. And I was like, man, I can't get my hair cut a certain way, I can't listen to the radio. But it was refreshing, man. I mean, I think I was mature enough at that age to see that this was all going to benefit me later. So I mean, as much as I wanted to kind of be outside, I'm grateful that my dad kind of protected me.
When did you start noticing the ladies?
What? I mean, come on, man. Out the womb. I mean, I was always a kid that was just attracted to women and wanted to be around women. I think part of it was being raised by my grandmother, and in a household full of women, that I was just drawn to them in a way that, I think the attraction stuff, I was writing like little love poems and R&B songs.
You write love letters. You write love letters.
All of that. I remember my first song I wrote was called "Hey Miss Fine." I was 8 years old. Finer than wine. You're so fine. Like, I was like, but it was like the fact that this 8-year-old was like serenading everybody in the neighborhood and stuff. Is like, I was just, always a little lover boy, and knew that was the type of attention that, I just loved.
Right.
So, I mean, it was very young. It was definitely about 8. I could say it was a solid, I thought I had my first girlfriend at 8. And she was 10, because, I like them older.
Is it true you lost your virginity at a church lock-in? What's a lock-in? What's a church lock-in?
So, yeah, I mean, this is so far. I actually wrote a movie about it, that movie School Dance. It was where, if you live in a bad neighborhood, to protect the kids, and normally it would be at a church or something like that, they would take all the kids from the neighborhood and lock them in on like Friday night into Saturday. And it was just like a free-for-all. Like, it just became like, because it was all of these kids, it was probably like 2 or 3 chaperones, and of course we was at the church, so everybody that you would see at Wednesday night service or on Sunday mornings, this was a time that you kind of got to be casual, right in our neighborhoods. So I remember, man, it was the church lock-in. It was my homeboy's cousin that she would kind of like, she was from another side of town, but we would see her every once in a while. And he's like, yo, I think my cousin like you. And then, you got to do the
always be them homeboy cousins. I don't want to really speak on that, but it always be them homeboy cousins.
Bravado was like, yo, tonight at the lock-in, she want to give you something. I was like, oh, okay. It's like, yeah. And then he's like,
his cousin sent the cousin up.
Yeah. But then it was like, because he was a little older too. He's like, oh, you done it before, right? I was like, Yeah, man, I be doing it all the time. Doing so much, I got to turn it down. And I had no clue what I was doing.
In the church, though, you gotta say, nah, hey, we gotta wait the week.
Well, I mean, because I was in church every day, Shannon. Like, so it wasn't like, it definitely couldn't be at the house. Like, so it couldn't be at the school. So, I mean, that was an opportunity where young people were, and you got to sneak and figure it out.
Yeah.
And it was probably one of the most traumatizing experiences of my life, though, because it's like, one, you're technically in public. You know, everybody's sleeping bags and finding their local. You're in the Lord's house.
Forget the public, the Lord.
Like, it wasn't like we was in the sanctuary, though. It was like, it was.
I need to know, like, I couldn't, and see, I guess that's how I know I grew up in the city, because when I listen to Shannon talk, I be like, dang, bro, like, it be shit that I be hearing that's so normal to me that be shocking to him that I be like, oh, bro, like, they really didn't experience that. Like, it's just certain stuff that he didn't get a chance to experience staying in a small town. And I don't know how I would have turned out if I stayed in a small town. But the stuff Nick Cannon talking about, bro, you hear about that. That was kind of normal. Like, knowing people that was having sex up in church. You feel me? So it's like at a young age and stuff. Like, I lost my virginity at 13. I wasn't in no church. But even now, bro, like, when I think about the little petty, like, that stuff that we did, sneaking into girls' house and stuff, bro, I regret it now so bad. Karma's a motherfucker. And that's all I can say on that. Karma is a mug, bro. Like, be careful what you be doing. Y'all young kids out here sneaking into people's houses.
The gymnasium now but it was still the church.
Yes, okay.
And then, I got the pressure. I got my homeboy and we doing whatever we doing, man. It didn't last long. It was a hot minute. I was in there. And I just remember her saying, "Get off me." And I was like, "What?" Like, she was and then she just started cracking up laughing and went over to.
Damn, now that is traumatizing. That's embarrassing. That'll fuck up a nigga whole type of confidence.
Where the girls were, and like, literally, I think she said, "He do it like a virgin." And I was crushed. Crushed. I felt like I let my homies down. I let her down, obviously. Let the Lord down. I'm in his house. I let everybody down.
I guess that's when you said they'll never speak like that.
Never happen again. I'll tell you, that is my origin story. That's when the cannon was born. I started doing pump push-ups and everything. I was trying to figure it out because I was like, that really hurt. But from that point on, I was like, look, I gotta.
So let me say this, bro. I'm trying to figure out. He must didn't know about like. He must didn't have nobody around that used to have like pornos. I had homies, my age and older, that had pornos all the way around. And then you had the magazines back in the day that kids probably don't even, but like you got the magazines that niggas used to get from the store, the gas station and stuff. I had my homies, older brother used to have magazines, and like you just see stuff, you get to, you learn. But like I said before in one of my old videos, that you can't really get mad. Like, you really can't beat yourself up by not knowing how to, like, your first time and stuff like that. Like, some of these girls just be out here messing with older dudes. For your younger dudes out here, man, one, please don't even be worried about sex. Like, I'm preaching that now because I know what comes with that after you have sex. But who am I, man? Like, who am I? Like, everybody ain't going. That ain't the popular thing to say to these, especially a male. Like, you don't want to be the young male, peer pressure, not having sex, bro. Like, let me tell you something, bro. It's a lot that comes behind that, dog. You feel me? It's a lot that comes behind that, and I don't think a lot of y'all kids understand that. Yeah, having sex is cool during that period of time in the moment, sneaking around and the rush of just doing it and stuff like that, but the consequences behind the aftermath of it, it ain't worth it, bro. It ain't even worth it. Not until you able to take care of your damn self.
Next time, and it was a while.
Yeah.
It was some years later, but I was like, I'm gonna make sure that I'm doing everything.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your favorite on here, proud partner of Rose Sparks. You ever had one of them nights where the energy is hitting just right? Maybe you're watching a movie, you're laughing, she scoots in a little closer on the couch, and boom, it's on. Now, in these moments, You can't get caught slipping. You got to be ready to perform like it's the big game. You heard me? And that's where Roast Sparks come in. These bad boys dissolve right under your tongue. No waiting, no water, no worries. And here's the kicker. That dual action formula stays active up to 36 hours. Now, you're not a wreck for 36 hours, but let's get this straight. But when that moment strikes again and again and again, you're ready to perform again and again and again. With Roast Sparks, you get harder, you get more control, and everybody's leaving the room with a smile. See, that's what I call a dub, baby. Ro connects guys with a medical provider 100% online. And if approved, treatment ships directly to the door. If prescribed, new sexual health patients get $15 their first order of Sparks on a recurring plan. Connect with a provider at ro.co/Shay Shay to find out if prescription Roast Sparks are right for you. That's ro.co/Shay Shay for $15 off your first order of Roast Sparks. Roast Sparks is a compounded drug product. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing reviews. For full safety info, go to ro.co/safety info. So fellas, stay confident, stay ready, and let's get them sparks flying when the moment is right. Your dad was a is that how you kind of got in television? Because your dad was
the televangelist? Yeah.
Is that kind of when you like, you know what? I think I could do TV, not like him, but be in the television.
And I think that was because he never had like his own full-time congregation.
Okay.
Except for the televangelist show.
Okay.
So even within that, I was watching my dad live out his dreams. And that's kind of what I was drawn to, because his, he always said like his congregation was bigger than just the pulpit, you know what I mean? So, and so I learned through cable access, that was the public access process on cable TV. I was his crew. So I had to learn everything. I had to learn lighting. I had to learn, audio, staging. I was working the cameras a lot of time. And this is early 90s. Wow. So, and like at 11 years old, you have to go through like the training program and process to get certified to be able to do all of this stuff. So I took the classes with my dad. And so once he was the main talent, I was kind of controlling everything. And that's kind of what opened my eyes to being a producer and working behind the scenes. And that's really all I really wanted to do. I love the behind the scenes of entertainment, but then as a reward, he would give me free time on set, because we were in a facility, and that's when I would do like little
You work on your own gig.
Yeah, I was doing little rap videos and comedy skits, and they would actually air on TV in Charlotte, North Carolina. So people would be like, I've seen that kid before. And like I became like the the little entertainment kid around town that would interview celebrities when they came in and perform at the Black Expos and the local to Apollo and all that stuff. So that definitely sparked something in me. And when I was trying to be about the streets, my dad shifted it with that energy, and that's kind of who I became. And that was my identity of just wanting to be an entertainer.
Starting a business is hard, or so you thought. That's why you need Busy. It's an absolute game changer in getting your business off.
The televangelists, and they catching a lot of flack now because they're on TV, and they say the Lord said, give me $10,000 in the next 5 minutes and you'll receive a blessing, or you
Petey pop off in there.
I'm like, oh, no. I said, he didn't tell me that. I prayed last night. He ain't mentioned nothing about coming out $10,000. So I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna hold on. And it's kind of always been like this. If you go back and look at the televangelists, they've always been like, asking for money, but I don't know if that's they say it's prosperity.
The prosperity ministry.
Yeah. So, I mean, did your dad run one of those?
I think that's what my dad that's what he battled, because he didn't want to be a part of that. But we were in, he was a lot more of the evangelist or the preacher that they would invite to come to those type of churches. He would leave his message and then he would go on, because they would see him on TV and and he would, he kind of spark the fire, get everybody excited and all the different revivals. So he knew it as well. And that's why that's why I kind of fell back from the church, because the church is a business. And it's unfortunate that you got to mix business and spirituality, because if you're legitimately just trying to help people and save souls, but I think ultimately they should just have a general admission price.
Yeah.
So like, you know what you go pay to get in.
Yes.
And then they ain't asking for nothing else because you got to keep the lights on. You got to pay for the air conditioning. You got it is a business.
Yeah.
But if you feel like you swindling people with the word,
Yeah.
I think that's where people get uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I think again, legitimately, if they did something like it was church and state, where it's like, look, yeah, it costs to get in because it costs to run this building.
Right.
But we're not going to charge you for no blessings. You know what I mean?
Because that's what they're selling. But it's always been like that. You remember they used to have the prayer cloth.
Yeah.
You see?
That's what I said. P.D. Popoff in them, and the dude on late night at BET is like, God, that dude, like all of that stuff. And this is where, again, because I've studied this, grew up in this. I understand there are actual principles within different spiritual beliefs and religions that the tithing purpose of giving 10%. Of showing that money is not your God, and what you reap with what you sow, and give on, and it'll be given unto you, pressed down, shaken together, runneth over. All of that stuff is real. You know what I mean? But you don't have to give it to an individual or a space. It's just showing the humbleness of that you will never let money be your God. Right. And even like we go back into the Old Testament, it was like
all right, so for my people that go to church and everything that's real religious, do y'all believe in that? Do y'all believe everything that he's saying, that the giving tithes wasn't about the blessings? And how do y'all feel about that, man? Y'all let me know in the comments when y'all see this. How do y'all feel about that statement? I didn't go to church as much. I did go a few times, but I ain't go like that. So I'd never believed in giving tithes like that. And I didn't pay enough. I stopped going to the Kingdom Hall very, very young, so I didn't see enough to understand what they do as far as giving tithes, but I know they give something. I don't know, man. Like I'm this is not the episode for me to get into the religious stuff, so I'm not. But as y'all want to know how people feel about that comment and stuff, because I've heard Nick Cannon say different stuff about religion and beliefs and all different type of stuff. Hopefully he might get back into it as we go along further, but y'all let me know how y'all feel about that.
It was all about the sacrifice, and that's why they would sacrifice animals, because those animals was their money.
That was value.
You know what I mean? So like, I'm gonna give you this because I love you more than I love this item. Right. So I understand those principles of like, yo, I'm gonna give 10% of everything that I make.
But that doesn't necessarily mean to the church though, right? Because there's another charity 100%. Out there I can give 100%. But they make it seem like you got to give 10% to this.
Well, it's almost like where you're being fed is where you're supposed to feed. But again, it's all in perception too, from my opinion, because that's why one of the reasons I could never be a minister, because I like fly shit too much. You know what I mean? Like, because that's where if the pastor got on a better suit than you do, he driving
it seems like they like fly stuff too.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like that in itself,
they got private jets and Bentleys and Rolls Royces. They living better than.
Yeah, so that's where it gets a little murky, just for me personally. And you know what I mean? As a PK, I kind of grew up with some church trauma, as they call it. So I despise being in that place so much. So every time I would see such and such talking to such and such wife, or I was like, see, y'all just as bad as everybody else. You know what I mean? Because they're putting up a presentation that isn't
I'm this way, but actuality.
Yeah. So where I got to that space where it's like, yo, if we can just function, and we all got trauma, we all trying to figure it out, and if we could handle each other with love and care, that's to me what church should be about. But then when it becomes there's a status, like hierarchy within the church, I just couldn't rock with it.
And then they asking to see your W-2 and all kind of stuff. Come on now, you're doing too much.
It's a lot.
That ain't. I don't know. I don't think that was. That ain't what they meant.
They asking for W-2s in the church now, man. I mean, hey, you got
closing the door. To hey, we locked the door. How God gonna get in?
When I saw that, and when I see other things like that, it's like there's an infrastructure within the church that church folk understand. And like I said, it all is rooted in like, yo, we got to keep our house together.
Yes.
So we got to feed into the house. But then when you start to mix that element into like, well, you're not going to be blessed if you don't.
Yes.
That's when it gets a little too heavy. But other than that, I understand the process in which they have to do to keep their lights on.
If you're out here trying to scale a business, you're doing everything yourself, come on now. That's not how the fast and growing companies operate. The real ones, they delegate smarter. How do you think I grew my podcast? You got to delegate. See, scaling takes the right expertise at the right time. And that's exactly where Upwork comes in. Upwork is your one-stop platform to find, hire, and pay expert freelancers across everything. Web development, marketing, data, operations, you name it. We're talking access to specialized talent across 125 categories. So instead of spending weeks recruiting and locking yourself into a full-time hire, you might not even need long-term. You can bring in the right expert right now and keep it moving. I love the part you can browse profiles, check past work, even get scoping the roles. So you're not guessing, you're hiring with confidence. Now, if you're really trying to level up, with Business Plus, you can access the top 1% of talent on Upwork, and an AI-powered shortlisting. You'll get matched with the right freelancers in under 6 hours. No endless searching required. Plus, Upwork handles contracts, payments, all the back-end stuff, so you can stay focused on growing your business instead of getting buried in admin work. Thousands of businesses already on it. The question is, why aren't you? Go ahead and visit upwork.com/Shay Shay right now to post your job for free. That's upwork.com/Shay Shay to connect with the top talent ready to help your business grow. That's upwork.com/Shay Shay. Upwork.com/.
If you're looking to learn how to trade, a community is very important. And I've joined previous communities, and teaching wasn't one of their strong points. So I was left with guessing. Trade with the Pros definitely goes down to the basics so that you can understand the process of trading. I don't have to guess. I can access recordings if I miss a laugh.
Shay Shay. So when did it click for you? Like, you know what? You see your dad on television and you weren't necessarily going that route, but you wanted to be on television.
Yeah.
You knew at a very young age you wanted to be on television.
Yeah.
And it seemed like stand-up got your attention.
Yeah.
How did you get in stand-up, and who kind of brought you to that life?
Yeah, I was just opening up for the preacher man. That's what it was. Like, wherever my dad would go, he would put me on first. And at first it was kind of like a cute little gimmick. Like I would do like the, the baby preacher, you know what I mean? Have my little sermons about Shadrach, Meshach, and the big black Negro.
So you had a little Bob, you had a little kid.
All of that. I was in the suit. Me and my dad be matching, all of that stuff. But I just knew that wasn't the way. I was doing too much sinning to ever be. I couldn't be in that life.
Right.
So, but I love the attention. I love being able to make people emote, whether it was laugh or clap or cheer. So I was like, oh, there's something here. So, and it was my dad. He was like, look, because I want, ultimately, once I got to that age, it was like, oh, I want to be a rapper. And I was really skilled at like freestyling. He would put me on the spot, but I could only freestyle about biblical characters. Like, go ahead, give him one about Noah.
They're going to kill him on him saying that he was good at freestyling and rapping.
And it would just be, but it was entertaining. And I knew I wasn't going to be like a Christian rapper or something like that. So my dad was
so
like,
you was about to be Lecrae before Lecrae?
Yeah, me and Lecrae. Yeah, absolutely. But back then, I think my dad saw that I was, silly and could do impressions and stuff. So he was like, yo, every kid in these projects want to be a rapper. He's like, you got to think outside the box, do something different. He was like, you funny. Why don't you get up there and tell some jokes? Like, do what you do when you're around the house. And I was doing my impressions of, Eddie Murphy and Michael Jackson and stuff that I would catch glimpses of on, Arsenio or Living Color. And I would just do it.
Right.
And it worked, because he was 1,000% right. When I would enter the talent competitions and talent shows in the city, the rap thing would go pretty good, but then when they saw me doing stand-up, they was like, I've never seen this before. And that's when it just took off, and I was winning every talent show. And that's the stand-up thing. I was the only one. And literally all the way throughout my entire career, I'd be in the Comedy Store or wherever, the Improv, and I'd just be the only kid there with everybody from Dave Chappelle to Damon Wayans to Eddie Griffin. And I was living my dream. You know what I mean? Like, oh my goodness, I'm a kid and I'm the only kid here. And, they about to go to the after spot. I got to get back on the road because I got school in the morning, so that was the one thing I truly value that my dad taught me is to think outside the box and not go every other way that every other kid was.
Because you guys started around a lot of the prodigy age. I think Chappelle started like around 14, 15.
Yeah.
Murphy started at 14, 15, Jim Carrey. So you kind of like that.
I was seasoned by then because I started at 11.
Okay.
I was doing, because that was like churches and stuff.
Yes.
Started traveling the road around like 12, 13. By the time I was 15, I was a regular at the Comedy Store, the Improv. I had moved back to California.
Okay.
So I was a legitimate comedian. I had, you know, at that time, because I wasn't that advanced, I had about like 30 minutes of solid material.
Right.
But even, you know, some guys ain't even got that now, you know what I mean? So at 13 to 15, I had a strong set.
So you already had a set.
Yeah, and it was stuff like, it was during those days of like Comic View and Def Jam, but they wouldn't let me do it because I was so young.
Right.
They were like, we can't have him on set. And even in the comedy clubs, they used to have to keep me in the kitchen. And they called me the chicken finger comic because it was like they could only bring me out when I had to go straight from the kitchen to stage and then right back. So it was a lot of rules during that time. It was great to stand out and be the only kid, but it was a lot of opportunities I didn't get because I was a kid.
Coming up, who are like some of the top comedians, the top 5 comedians that you met and say, you know what, I could, you know, I kind of like their style, but I'm on my own style, but I kind of like the way he work a crowd, or I like the way he tells a story, or I like the way he does X, Y, and Z.
I mean, we was all trying to imitate, you know, Eddie and Pryor. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I obviously got to meet them later on in life. But the people that were my peers that were around me that I really admired, I mean, Chappelle was definitely one of those guys. And just, I think he and I even kind of connected when I was young because he remembered being a young kid in the comedy club. So he always had like, he'd be outside the Improv smoking a cigarette or whatever and be like, man, let me tell you, like, and I just soak up the game at like 15. And then the other person probably would be Jamie Foxx, who kind of did the same thing for me as well. So much so, man, like he would look out for me because he knew I was from out of town, so I'd be sleeping in my car and stuff. Be like, man, if you know, put to the crib, he had a young crush on, and like, so she would low key be like my babysitter while they be out, you know, doing grown folk, you know, partying at the club of that, make her stay at the crib and watch me. I was like, all right, like, I was happy, but even to be in Jamie Foxx's house, you know, hanging with his sister, like as a kid, like I was living a dream, man. I was like, for a 15-year-old, that was a dream come true.
That's you know what? If you hear, there are a lot of stories. It's almost like it's a rite of passage that when you come to California or you try to achieve your goal, the process, you got to live in the car. You got to have some hard times. It has to be a struggle. And
I think for me, it happened at a very young age, so it was a struggle, but it wasn't. Like all I was just focused on was gas money. Like I sleep anywhere. Like I didn't, and it was only from like 15 to like 17 at the most. By 17, I was doing things where I could provide for myself. But that time just shows you how bad you want it, you know. And like my mom did not approve of it. She made me get a job at Wiener Schnitzel back in Sandy. She's like, you gonna have some kind of job. So I had to finish school. I finished school early, graduated when I was 16, still keep a job to help contribute with my mom. And then I could drive three hours to LA to kind of stand in line to see if I'm gonna get on stage. Wow. Yeah.
You met, so how did you meet Jamie? So you just at a comedy club one night?
Comedy club vibes, yeah. Like, I mean, obviously he's Jamie Foxx. Like, the Jamie Foxx show is on, like, you know, and Jamie's probably one of the coolest, most humble, most entertaining individuals. Like he the dude that walk in the room and just, hey everybody, and like he's just drawn to him. So he saw a kid in the comedy club, like, nigga, what you doing here? And then like from that energy, he just said, I'm gonna look out for you. You know what I mean? And I was the only kid at his house, the only kid in the comedy club. So I kind of stood out. And so it was all like, yo, let's protect Nick. Let's make sure he all right. And you know, from there, he gave me so many opportunities. One, you know, his comedy festival, he used to have back in the day called Laugh-A-Palooza. He used to do it in Atlanta. That's really where I got one of my first big deals, my chance to get on stage. And so it was always OGs like that were just looking out for me because they was just good people.
So is that what led to the Nickelodeon, where you finally got your break to get on like real television?
Yeah, I mean, it all happened at the same time, really. Like it was around anywhere between like 15 and 17. Okay. I remember, and it's funny because my manager's still here to this day. 30
still same manager.
Same one, and my only one. Wow. But he also at the time, managed Kenan Thompson, which he still does, and that's who I was looking up to. He was the only other young person in the club, so and he was a star. You know what I mean? Like he had a nice little white Lexus, and I was like, yo, I want to do what you doing. How do I get on? And he was humble and gracious enough to be like, man, just keep doing your thing. I see him all the time. And one time he brought his manager to the Improv one night, and I don't know who they were coming to see. But I got on stage, and the Monday night, it was like the rawest night, just Black Night, Mo Better Mondays. And I got up there and started telling my jokes and rocked the crowd. And, after that, he introduced himself, or Kenan made sure that we all connected. Wow. And from there, because they produce shows for Nickelodeon, obviously Kenan and Kel, all that, they brought me aboard, but not necessarily as talent just yet, because it don't work like that. So I was so inspired by what was going on. I was like, yo, I just want a job in here. And I became the audience warm-up. Yeah. And so I was the kid that was entertaining the audience.
But he been working and he been grinding. Like, you got to give Nick Cannon his respect, bro, for just how long and consistent he's been in the game. And then just to see where he went from Nickelodeon to Wild 'N Out to just different businesses that he has created, man. I give bro his respect. He's a legend in the game.
While they were moving the cameras and stuff around, and really on my feet for like 4 to 5 hours, just cracking jokes, rapping, singing, dancing with everybody. And then at times, like, I remember I'll be doing my thing and be like, all right, time to go back to shooting. I'd be like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, they were like, I'm just getting started. Yeah, they were more entertained by me than what they came to see. So I think the producers and I'm sure everybody kind of noticed that, and they were like, yo, this kid is talented, we're gonna keep cultivating him. And by that time I started writing, and Kenan had started, he just, because he saw me sleeping in my car, he was like, man, I got an extra room, in my apartment. And so he literally became my big brother and looked out for me. And so in the late nights, we'd be writing jokes and scripts and stuff. And I was like, yo, this is your show. Let's write some episodes. And he gave me that opportunity too. So the first television show or episode that I was able to write was an episode of Kenan and Kel. Wow. Yeah.
Y'all know I'm a man who appreciate the finer things in life, a good pour, tailored fit, and underwear.
No, I didn't know that. I didn't know he wrote for Kenan and Kel, and that was one of my shows growing up, bro. So I know I didn't. I know he used to be on there. I know I used to watch him. They had Nick Cannon dressing up in that girl outfit in Nickelodeon, real young, like he was 16 and stuff. I don't know if he speak on that shit, but I do remember just watching him on Nickelodeon, Kenan and Kel, and like I said, man, just watching his growth in the business. Like, a lot of people might just know him from Wild 'N Out, but like I said, I grew up off Nick Cannon, just watching him off Nickelodeon and stuff. And then you watch his movie Love Don't Cost a Thing, Drumline. Like, you got to give bro his respect and his just dues of what he has done in the entertainment game.
That won't play games with my comfort. That's why I rock Tommy John underwear. We're talking luxury butter soft fabric, up to 4 times more stretch than competing brands. It supports you, shapes you, keeps everything where it needs to be. See, I can't be shifting my focus when talking to guests. That's why I love Tommy John. They have stay put waistbands, that means no rolling or bouncing, and quick draw fly. Listen, that's true innovation. It's a game changer when it's time to go. Fast, easy, no fumbling. And Tommy John only uses premium fabrics like Lenzing Modal, the global gold standard of breathable fibers. With over 30 million pairs sold, there are thousands of guys out there more comfortable than you right now. I'm one of them. Tommy John is the underwear for me because Tommy John is comfort perfected. Go to TommyJohn.com today and save 25% off your first order with code Shay Shay. That's SHAY, SHAY. Don't short me now. You got to say it twice. Head to TommyJohn.com and take 40% off with code Shay Shay. Yeah, you heard that right. One of the biggest sales we've ever had. Don't play around and miss it. It seems like everything is happening so fast. And from the outside looking in, people are like, well, look how fast you like boom, 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 boom. But in real time, it's moving slow as hell.
Nah, when you think about it, like first time I was on stage and had those dreams was 11 and 12. Right. And I really didn't get on until 16. So life happening and moving back and forth from North Carolina to California, like all of that was going on. Right. And, it was always my dream to be, whether is in another bad creation or the boys or, you know, the next Bobby Brown. Like I was inspired by all of that. And then even once the comedy bug hit after that, I was like, yo, I want to be like, I had that mark like, ooh, Eddie started at 15. I want to be here at 15. Like, so my grind was like, the clock was ticking at all times. And even so, but that sounds crazy. You know what I mean? I'm still a teenager and in spaces that, you know, I really didn't have no business being in, but it was great opportunity. So looking back now, like I appreciate the time that it took. It sounds cliche, but the journey was the best part. So in that, you know, it wasn't overnight. And to be honest with you, Shannon, like I don't even feel like now, like I don't walk like, oh, I've made it or I've accomplished all of this stuff. And I think that's probably why my list of accolades is so long, because I'm always grinding, because I've never had that opportunity like, finally, I'm here, I made it, or I'm a star. Like it was always like, nah, it's one job to the next, one hustle to the next. And because so I still feel like it's going, I still don't feel like I made it.
Because you don't have a destination. You're still on this journey.
Exactly.
And so when you're on a journey, you don't realize how far you've gone or how fast you're going. You just know I'm going in the right direction.
Absolutely.
And then one day you'll sit back and when I was reading off all your accolades, you like damn, I did that.
It's a lot of shit.
Did that. But still, I can see there's still a passion, there's a burning desire inside of you because you feel that there's still so much for you to accomplish.
And I think on so many different levels, like if I'm being real and living in the moment, like I'm a kid that just from the project. So that aspect, I remember that was my goal, just that everybody in the hood knew my name.
Right.
So that I accomplished that pretty early, but I never really had a destination or a dream of where I wanted to go.
Right.
So yeah, I'm trying to figure out what that next thing is. And as they say, you got to keep cooking while the pot is hot.
Right.
You know, and in that, it was, I don't know. I enjoy the journey so much. I enjoy that, you know, I get to wake up and be creative, that I'm blessed enough that I could provide for my family from what's in, you know what I mean? Like I don't have to go out and like, to me, like, oh man, you always working, you grinding. Like, nah, my grandfather was grinding when he was building on the shipyard. You know, my pops and then when they was on the block, you know, risking their life, like that's a different grind. Like to me, I just get to be creative and try to share a light. Like I'm gonna do that. I pay to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so easy to become a podcaster with Riverside. First, go to Riverside and open an account. When you're
What is it about, and we've had these stories, a lot of kids that become successful early and then all of a sudden struggle later in life, and you didn't seem to have that problem. And what can, I don't know if it's a parent thing, I don't know if it's the industry thing, can do to better protect these young men and women?
It definitely starts with the parenting. But I believe what happens is probably what happens to all teens and adolescents is when you try to find yourself and you're seeking identity and you act out and go against what people think you're supposed to be. So when you have the whole world thinking you're this kid on this TV show and you're so precocious and like, and you never been through nothing, you want to show the world I have been through something. It's that same mentality as like a PK when like, oh, if you the preacher's kid, you got to be good. It's like, nah, I'm gonna do double bad shit just to show you I'm rocking with y'all. So it's that same mentality where like, oh, you know, people even say that to me. Oh man, you was born with a silver spoon in your mouth. What you know about that? And it's like, oh, I'll show you what I know about it. And so that's a lot of times when we see some of these young kids act out and dealing with substance abuse because they're trying to find themselves and get away from what they've been portraying for so long. And that's, I think, the way I dealt with it. It was the healthiest way I could deal with it because I could have went a bunch of different ways. Like I never touched drugs, never was trying to be something that I wasn't. But my love for women, like I was like, oh, okay, you think I'm corny? Well, I'm gonna show you corny. bring your girl around me. And I think that's probably if I had to, you know, every time I sit with my therapist, we try to go back and figure out
where did it all start from.
And I think a lot of that improving myself because I've always looked young and I always was the youngest person in the room. So I always had to prove my masculinity, prove my intelligence. Yeah. And so I would try to show people how grown I was. Or I would try to show women. I would try and I think looking back now and doing the work, it's like, oh, that's where that started. That was you trying to prove yourself because you were always the smallest dude in the room or the youngest dude in the room, or the one they wouldn't allow to talk. So, you know, when you got to talk, you know, I became loquacious. You know, I was out there pontificating. You know, so and that became, you know, me just constantly trying to be on but luckily I chose that direction opposed to, like, you know,
drugs,
you know, it's a lot of our young guys that literally went back to the street life after they was on TV and stuff like that because they were seeking identity.
Another child actor that you ended up having to respond to was Orlando Brown.
I knew who we was talking about.
Why was it important for you to take the high road?
Man, first of all, I got love for that dude from my core. And to be honest, if you ain't heard it now, is the invitation. I'm putting him on Wild Out. That dude is genius. Wow. Genius level. Now, when you're dealing with genius, you also there's a balance, you know, when we're dealing with our mental health, and you want to have artists need a great support system. Yes. And when you come up as a kid and you're an artist and you got genius in you, then people don't handle you with the delicate energy that you may need. Okay. So you can go off and veer, and like now you're just seeking attention, and you'll say whatever, just to get attention. And especially somebody giving you a couple $1,000s to say it, and I'm gonna say some more shit like that, you know, like every single time. So I see him, I see a wounded genius, you know what I mean? And like, if you just clean it, and I've done this before with people that I met, it's like, oh, you just clean this kid up a little bit. Yeah, and also you see him seeking, you see him constantly going back to the church, you see him trying to be a good father. You see, like, the dude is a brilliant dude, but he also knows how to play this internet game. Yes. And if he say somebody's name here, or he do this, and then when he see you, like, what's up, man? You know what I mean? Right. Like, but so I could never get mad at somebody like that. Now, who I got mad at was, and I got mad at the system. You know what I mean? That a headline like that could go viral. Cause I mean, I think and it was hilarious. Like, he was like in a Target or a Kmart or something. And he's on the phone. He's like, Nick hit it? Yeah, Nick be sucking dick.
Lord.
And he just,
y'all don't know if I could have took how to do that with Nick.
It was hilarious. But the unfortunate thing is because there is such a seriousness in this industry and in the world with things like adults and people in power taking advantage of young kids. That
is correct.
So we want to believe everything that he says, whether he's joking, whether he's doing it for the clicks. You want to respect anybody that says something like that. But then after the 80th time and he talking about Bow Wow got bombed, all that, so I was like, all right, he wilding a little bit. Yeah. But there's some truth into the world in which he's talking about. Right. So when he's talking about adults taking advantage of children for opportunities, look at the world that we're living in now, to where it's going all over the place, to where you don't know what to believe. Correct. So you got to give him the respect as a young man who, since he was 5-6 years old, on sets, carrying himself, but then you also see what he's doing and see how he maneuvers. And I feel like at the core, it's just mental health. And I think the media has a responsibility to handle people with mental health or mental health issues in a specific way. You know what I mean? And so that's where I went to. I was like, man, I got love for this dude. I don't really know him like that. You know, we cross paths.
But I'm willing to help him.
But whatever I got to do. And I feel like a platform like Wildin' Out is perfect for somebody. And clearly, the brother is hilarious. Yeah. He can sing, he can act. He's been doing it, you know,
basically his
whole life. It's just like, how do we shape this and give him, you know, the tools that he needs to succeed in this space and not just be on such a low frequency?
I think the thing is, Nick, is that people look like, man, I understand that he might be going through something, but the people at Bow Wow probably say, well, why you got to use my name? And some people like, whoa, I get thrown in it.
Yeah, to me, like, that's what I've never, it didn't bother me. I thought it was hilarious. I'm a comedian first, so if you say something funny, I'm gonna laugh. Now, like, they've said way worse shit on Wildin' Out. You know what I mean? So, but the fact that I think people really want to believe him, and because of all of these conspiracies that are going on, they're like, it got to be some truth to that. But I think there's levels to it. I think, you know, he has some great wisdom. He's been through some real shit in life, and he's being entertaining with it. Right. So then you're like, all right, well, what is true and what is entertainment? Yes. But for me, when I know my truth, I ain't got no problem with you saying whatever it is because it's not affecting my life none. Right. You know what I mean? So if anything, as
a matter of fact, I'm about to have another kid since you said that.
Go ahead on. Do what you do. I ain't gonna stop you.
You end up meeting Will Smith. How did you meet Will?
That was that same vibe. So in the where I was talking about the Laugh-A-Palooza festival, that was Jamie's festival in Atlanta. Had a great set.
Okay.
Some people from his company Overbrook were there and present, and they were like, "Yo, you got to meet Will." Like you, and I was like, "Shoot." It was like when we get back to LA, I think they filmed the set too, and I think they showed it to Will. And I remember going in there taking a general meeting with his executives, and he just walked in the room. And he was like, "Yo, you're hilarious." And then I was like, "Yo," and I was like, "I've always looked up to you. My first cassette was he's the DJ, I'm the rapper," like kind of just fanning out. And then I took advantage of the opportunity. I was like, "Man, Fresh Prince was my favorite show, so much so I wrote a show just like it." And then boom, pulled out a script.
You came prepared.
It was the loose cannon. It was pretty much me in a military school. And I had wrote it all out. And it was very kind of similar to like a Fresh Prince vibe. And they bought it right there on the spot. And I just remember like he gave me a TV deal, a record deal, and put me in my first movie, man. Like, and it just looked out for me. Just, I guess, you know, just one artist looking out for another. And he saw I was a young dude that had talent. I remember we shot the pilot. And I remember him, Quincy Jones was there. Like I was living a dream. Our showrunner was also, you know, the showrunner who, created the Jamie Foxx show. So it was all full circle. We was off it like Bentley Kyle Evans was looking out for me. And I'm like, man, the way it was supposed to be slated, because it was when the WB was popping, my show, because the Jamie Foxx show was kind of ending. So my show was gonna kind of come on after the Jamie Foxx show and then ultimately take that slot.
Right.
And then the whole company shifted and they went from not doing so much black content to like the WB and the CW that we know today.
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
Wow. But that was my closest step to I've made it.
Right.
And then when that didn't happen, that's when I was like, I don't care about making it no more. And I was like, I'd rather enjoy the journey because I was so heartbroken at that show. I was still a teenager.
You're so close.
Yeah, I was 18, 19 years old. And like, I'm the next one, you know what I mean? I'm the next Chris Tucker and Eddie Murphy. Like I'm that guy. And then when they snatch that from you just as fast as they gave it to you, it crushes you. And I didn't really have nothing to relate it to other than the people that, you know, had gone through it before. Right. So I was like, I just stay focused and keep my head straight.
Did it ever bother you that you would compare to a Will Smith early in your career?
Ignorantly, yeah, you know what I mean. Like because I wanted to be your own person. Like I think I even like I was like, I don't want to be the next Will Smith. I want to be the first Nick Cannon. Like that, I would constantly say that as a young man. But it was an honor to have that like superstar energy as your mentor.
Correct.
You know, so I was around, you know, all during the heyday of like the Men in Blacks and the like just the biggest movie when Independence Day, Big Willie weekend was like 4th of July. He was the biggest star in the world. And he kind of just took me along for the ride and allowed me to see, you know, he's selling 10 million records and 100 million box office. I had never seen anything like it. So I was like, if there's somebody to say to emulate, that's who you want to emulate.
He's still the first rapper. He's the first rapper to win a Grammy.
Yeah.
People don't know that.
Yeah. I mean, and then boycotted it because they disrespected hip hop in general. Like, I mean, super solid, always been solid. I had nothing but great words to say about that man.
Let me know what you think about this. I think and I thought people really, really loved Will Smith until the incident happened with Chris Rock. And then that was really the first time that a lot of people had a lot of negative things to say about him. Yeah. And then his wife doesn't make it a whole lot better. So I don't know if it's him or if it's her.
I think we still love him. I think that's the beauty of our community.
Okay.
We gonna let you fall on your face. We might laugh at you when you're on the ground, but we're gonna pick you back up and let you come home. And then that comeback story is even more amazing. Right. I think the things that people may so-called dislike about Will would be what we all dislike about this industry.
Okay.
I think, you know.
I think people don't like Will because a lot of times Will don't take up for his damn self, and the Will be allowing his wife to be just letting him look like a true I can't really say the word I want to say. I'm trying to stop cussing so much up on here, but I think that'd be the problem. I think Nick is right though. I think a lot of people got a lot of love in him, especially when they knew, like when they redid the French Prince of Bel-Air. That show got him a lot of love, especially that last episode when they brought out, like, you know, Will, and then they had the younger Will, and they had to talk after everything he went through with the Chris Rock situation and just the allegations and the entanglement and all this different type of stuff, bro. Like, you just hate to see a person that you feel like might be that this is a good person, and he just keep getting like I don't know, man. Like, I say Jada be making it seem, making him look like a bitch sometimes, and it's not even. You don't want to make it seem like that, because Will is one of the greatest actors of all time. We love French Prince of Bel-Air and everything, but you just feel bad for the man sometimes. You be like, damn, bro, like, he went through all that. And to me, I don't give a fuck about the Chris Rock situation. I'm not a Chris Rock fan. I don't give a fuck. With the Chris Rock situation, I think that just was a lot of like built up anger inside. I think he got tired of people trying him. I think he just got tired of looking like he was weak. And I think his pride got to him and stuff like that. But to me, man, and now when you hear Jada talk and about the situation and about Chris Rock wanting to take him out, that's why I say I don't feel bad for Chris Rock, because I think Chris Rock was doing some shady stuff behind closed doors. I believe he was trying to get at his wife, and I think Jada might have entertained it a little bit and played along with it. I wouldn't put it past her. Why? Don't know, don't care. But I do feel like that, and I think that'd be the problem with Will Smith sometimes.
A lot of it is self-serving. A lot of it, you can get so big that you get disconnected. And one thing about Will, he always kept the same individuals around him. So he kept them solid, whether it's from Charlie Mack, Omar, like all of these guys that would just...
That grew up with him.
Yeah, straight from Philly. Like, that's how you can always see how solid somebody is, if they got people rocking with them from the beginning, if they still with them. Right. And so I think the things, and I've dealt with it too, where sometimes, whether it's friends, family members, if they ain't heard from you in a while, ain't seen you, oh, he went Hollywood. Oh, right. That's some Hollywood stuff. And then you have this term Hollywood that has been
negative,
demonized as well. So when someone gets larger than life, then the person that used to be your partner gets disconnected, and now they got negative things to say. And they all in your business, they all in your life like that. But if anything, at the core, because we all go through stuff, but I think the world knows, and anybody who's ever seen any of his content knows, that Will Smith is a beautiful spirit, man. Right. Like, so he's brought more joy to the world than he has negativity.
Jada's back in the news.
I was like, is that new content? Or is she still talking about it? I was like, every time I see that scroll across my feed, it's like, is she still talking about?
Well, now she's saying they when the incident,
did she got a new book out or something? Like,
I was thinking the same thing, because that's normally when people get, start talking again.
Yeah, because I read her first book. It was intense.
Because she was like, well, Will and I weren't together when he did what he did to Chris Rock, and we don't sleep together, and he couldn't make me happy, and that's what I did. I'm like, I understand you're a public figure, and there's gonna be enough consumption of you because you are, but I don't know if me personally, I don't know how you feel, Nick, but I don't really need to hear that. I don't need to hear about your relationship. If you don't love him, you don't love him. But you keep that to yourself.
That's why I'm interested in what the purpose is. Like, I'm a frequency dude all day long, and I know the majority of our output is low frequency.
Yeah.
They say 80% is low frequency, 20% is high frequency. Okay. So it just seems like if you continue to feed the low frequency, if that's what you're getting in, like, because Jada is brilliant as well. I know she understands it. So I'm like, trying to think, what are you getting out of continuing to feed the low frequency of information that we don't need?
Right.
When I know you to be a high frequency individual. So it's like, I'm trying to understand the greater purpose when something is like, we haven't really heard any new information. It's just like, again, it's more fodder for the fire to feed the low frequency. And I think even at this point, the low frequency, we don't hear about that shit no more.
But you know what? You said something very interesting. I think now it makes Will even look more sympathetic. Like, man, Will, how you putting up with this, man? You deserve so much better. Go get you another queen.
I have heard that. I have heard that.
And you're right, because a lot of times when our community, somebody that was high as Will Smith, and we fall, we like, okay, he suffered enough.
Yeah.
Now let's lift him back up.
And that's the thing, like I always, that's the beauty of Black people, man. I love them so much.
We so forgiving.
We so forgiving, but we gonna call you out though.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We gonna forgive you, but you gonna have to get this work before we forgive you. Like we ain't just gonna be easy on you, because that's the type of, we've all gone through something.
Yes.
And so that can either become relatable, or it can become, that can make me separate, because you think you better than me.
Yes.
So I'm gonna let you know you're not better than me.
Right.
But then when you realize that we all the same, I'm gonna give you a big hug and we're gonna keep rocking.
Drumline.
Yeah.
I had T.I. on the show. T.I. said he turned down Drumline because he couldn't.
Everybody said that. Myth Bleak said that. Like anybody who was around at that time.
He was on the show and said, "Hey, so who else? Somebody
Everybody
else
say that.
Ray J said.
Ray J said it. You know, Ray J said a lot of shit, but like that, because I believe it was probably. Think about it. That was a major motion picture.
Yes.
At the beginning of the 2000s.
Yes.
And that was when Black entertainment was hot.
Yes.
So everybody and their mama auditioned for that role to be the next young Black star in a movie. I mean, I went in for like 8 different times. Wow. You know what I mean? And I've never really been an audition dude. You know what I mean? Like I could show and prove. And as I got older, I understood the process a little bit more. But I was just trying to go in there and win off a smile, or they see me doing stand-up. Right. But then once I realized, like, I could really do this acting thing. And as being a musician, knowing how to play drums and all that stuff, it kind of gave me a leg up a little bit.
Yeah. So you knew how to play the drums before?
Not chorus style.
Okay.
You know, just a standard set. But also growing up in the South and understanding the marching band culture and everything. But it was more, I believe, is like the chemistry and the performance. I mean, shouts out to Zoe Saldana now, that where like I remember there was groups of actors that they had put together, and I got paired with her, and I was like, shorty bad. You know what I mean? Like, so I was just trying to I wasn't acting. Like I was trying to go.
Hey, you was really about that culture.
That screen test was real. But so in that process, I think that's, you know, that kind of helped both of us get the role, because we were really, really comfortable, you know, getting to know each other, you know, for those few hours before we went in, because that's what they do on a screen test. They make deals with everybody before. They have like 3 groups that they're thinking about getting, and I think that's how they can make the best deal, because like, all right, if they do it afterwards, then you can negotiate, because they said you the one. Right. But if it's like, well, we don't know if you the one, and you're like, well, shit, give me $5 and a chicken sandwich.
And I take it.
Yeah, but the fact is, it was the day before, and I remember I was on a music video. Ironically enough, I was on a remake of Parents Just Don't Understand for Nickelodeon. Right. And my manager Goldman was like, "We getting out of this shit. We about to go." Like he snatched me literally from the set to go meet with Charles Stone, the director, to make sure, you know, the screen test was going to operate the way it was supposed to operate. So I was already kind of on edge, because like, yo, this is probably one of the biggest opportunities of my life. And then to know that there are other actors doing it. And I remember like Disney.
Did you know anybody had? Did you see anybody?
It was 2 other actors there, and I don't think. I mean, like one gentleman, Lee, God rest his soul, he's no longer with us, but he was like a big star on Disney at the time. Okay. And it was him, and it was like another new face individual that they were kind of thinking about. And I remember Disney had even put in a call to, you know, Fox at the time was the studio, and like the funny thing. I don't know if it was Charles. Somebody said, yo, Independence Day, Will's biggest movie was at Fox. Like, get Will to call. Disney called for this kid. And I remember I was like, man, I want to call Will to ask him. Like, he had already done me so many favors in life. Called him, picked up. He was like, no problem, I got you. Made the call to the head of the studio, and he was like, yo, this kid is real. Like, he was like, I know you got some other kids, but this dude is the real deal. And I don't know if that got me the job, but he definitely put
it didn't hurt.
It definitely didn't hurt. And so when that screen test went off, you know, the rest is history.
Wow. So how long did you have to practice to get that? I mean, because
the drumming?
Yeah.
Yeah, we went to Atlanta about 3 months earlier. And I think we were training like 16-hour days, just different cadences. Yeah. You know what I mean? It was luckily we only had to learn the cadences in the movie. Right. So I kind of understood, you know, how it all went with the rudiments and the musicianship
Right.
of it all. And it was just like, just getting used to marching and
Right.
actually, because, you know, they had hired a double for me, but I was like, I'm gonna turn my double into my drum teacher.
Right.
So we just would be everywhere, like from the campus.
So you really
to the dorm. I
really
slept
wanted
in
to
the
learn how to play the
dorms.
drum. You
Yeah.
really wanted to.
I wanted to learn how to play those 16 cadences.
Yeah.
You know, because I was a cocky, you know, individual.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't be talking shit up here and then you cut to it like
somebody else doing it.
I was like, yo, I want those wide shots, and then if you watch them, like, you know, I think it's mostly me drumming visually throughout the entire movie. Now, of course, the magic is they go back when post and they put the syncopation on it and make it look like I'm the nicest snare drummer ever. But like, long as I had all of the movement and the sticking and all of that stuff, and I think about, because people ask me, I just hosted the HBCU Aware Fest in Atlanta, and they had Clark Atlanta's marching band come out. Like, what, you got it? Like, nigga, that was 25 years ago.
No,
I don't know anybody who can do the same thing for 25 years ago. But yeah, man, it's part of who I am now. It's in my DNA.
A movie that didn't have the biggest budget but had so much success, and it's still, people talk about Drumline today. Are you still surprised? Are you surprised? Not still surprised, but are you surprised about that? It's still a fan favorite.
Yeah, man. I think it was a solid story. I mean, it was a coming of age story. It's about an underdog. It's about a fish out of water. Like all the things that we love when it comes to cinema. And then, I mean, if you look at it, it's Top Gun with drumsticks.
Yeah,
like it's the same story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this maverick, this dude that just wanted to come in and show he got what it takes.
Right.
And the fact that it was rooted in a subculture that the rest of the world didn't know about, but we knew about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We felt like we was introducing the world to a little bit more.
HBCU.
Yeah. You know,
Let know what's
talk
really
about,
going on.
talk about it. But nah, that's even just Black culture in general too. And it inspired so many kids to go to HBCUs.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I was just talking to Will Packer about this, you know, the other day, because obviously he did Stomp the Yard, we did Drumline.
Yep.
Like hasn't been, like, the numbers actually increased substantially from HBC enrollment after those films came out. And it's just because we gave them what this experience at a high frequency could be like. You know what I mean? Like, you made education fun. You made being around your people amazing. So, you know, to be a part of that, like, I think the only show that, or only content that did that before Drumline was A Different World.
Yeah.
You know, and to be able to just say you were a part of something that actually made people want to go to school, can't be mad at that.
And see, the thing is, like, because the bands are big at HBCUs.
Yeah.
Stomp the Yard, the Frass and the Sorrows are big at HBCUs.
Absolutely.
And they're in the yard and they're doing their thing and they have the step shows. And it's like, man,
I want to be here.
I would. If it really like, it's really like that.
Yeah, that's what my 15-year-old now, man. I'm getting him. I'm trying to get him to go to Howard, and then he like, man, is it really like that? I was like, yeah, it's like that. Like, it's a different type of experience.
Yes.
Than anything else, you know, than going to a PWI or going. Or
and that's no knock on the PWI.
Yeah.
But y'all don't get down like we get.
Yeah, you have fun, and you actually, even going to Howard, you know, even later in life, I learned more about myself.
Yes.
And who the Black man is.
Yes, absolutely. One thing, I'm like, damn, we did all that.
Yeah.
We invented that.
Yeah.
We went here.
You walk out of there with a whole different level of pride.
You absolutely do.
Yeah, real talk.
The ATL movie.
Yeah.
You returned the favor to T.I. You turned that down to T.I.
Well, because interesting enough, what people don't know, both Drumline and ATL were produced by Dallas Austin, and they're both about his life.
Wow.
So yeah, and it gets deep. I mean, I'm for sure maybe you get him on the couch.
Yeah.
He'll get to talk about like how Drumline was really dedicated to his older brother that had passed away.
Yeah, okay.
And in that sense where like he was just nice with the sticks, and Dallas was the same way. And you know, he was living in his older brother's shadow, and he didn't know how to read music. Like one of the greatest producers of all time, still didn't know how to read music like that at his origin. And then, you know, it was just so dope that he was able to put on for Atlanta in two different ways. So Drumline was his marching band high school experience going into college. And then ATL was based off of this skating rink that all of him and his, like T-Boz from TLC, like they all grew up together going to this spot called Jelly Beans. And that's what the script was originally called, because it was named after that spot. And then it eventually became ATL. But at the time, the reason why I didn't do, at the time was Jelly Beans that turned into ATL was because I got another offer for a roller skate movie that was shooting in Chicago called Roll Bounce.
Right.
But then, because that's when you get hot, like you kind of get your pick and choose of which movies you want to do.
Absolutely.
So I didn't want to do either, really, because I was trying to become a man, and I was like, all of these movies about young dudes. I want to give me a gun. I want to be a police officer. I was on that. But Roll Bounce was another Fox movie, and they gave me an offer I couldn't refuse.
Yeah. Okay.
So I turned down like the main roles and a few other roles, and I was like, is there a way I could just pop in? And they were like, all right, we can come in and we'll let you create a part and you can do whatever you want. Shouts out to Malcolm Lee, who's brilliant director, allowed me to kind of just freestyle and do my thing. But they still put my face on the box like I was a star of the movie. It was really Bow Wow. It was like me and Bow Wow and I think Megan Good at the time. But it was like they were just feeding off of that. So I was like, I turned down the other movie because I knew I didn't have to work as much and I probably got a bigger paycheck doing this over here. So a little inside Hollywood type of stuff. But that's why I wish, granted, T.I. killed it. That role was for him. It was about, ATL and all of that. But just, what Dallas and I had set out to do, he was like, yo, we're going to do Drumline first and we're going to do Jelly Beans next. And but it happened the way it was supposed to happen.
You mentioned like when you get hot, then you have opportunities. Is there some roles that you probably turned down because it's hot like ATL but you had Roll Bounce.
Yeah.
So no harm, no foul. But there's some other roles like, damn, man, there's a golden opportunity.
There's a bunch of there's Oscar award winning film that I turned down at the time because I was like, man, it got too much cussing in it. And I didn't even like at the time it was an independent film. It was the film Crash. And
man, that was oh my God. That's with Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard is in it, Lorenz Tate and Luda.
Yes.
I don't remember which role between Luda and Lorenz.
That was unbelievable.
Phenomenal movie, and I had to watch the Oscars from the house.
Was Sandra Bullock in that too, I think?
Yeah, was it Sandra Bullock? Yeah. It was a star-studded cast.
Man,
it was one of those movies where it's telling the same story at a different time.
Yes.
Yeah, but that was just one of them. But we'd be here all night talking about all the movie roles I turned down or things that was almost supposed to be. And then that's where, again, you got to enjoy the journey.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it was for me, it's for me. And even like to this day, as much as I do and the success and all that stuff, to my core, man, I love nothing more than being a character and acting. And every time, no matter how big the role, how small the role, I'm gonna dive into that because that's the thespian in me that just like I love to act.
Biops, you were supposed to play Richard Pryor. I also had Mike Epps, and Mike Epps said he's like, man, I'm this close to doing that role. And as a matter of fact, you see him dressed, he kind of looks like Richard Pryor, and he can talk like
it was me, Mike, and Marlon. And
yes,
again,
I had Marlon Wayans on
screen test. We did the deals, and I remember to play. I don't remember who the third woman was, but obviously at the same time, the screen test was with Richard and his wife. Those were all the scenes.
Yes,
and I remember it was Kate Hudson.
Every entrepreneur starts somewhere. For some, it's a garage. For others, it's a basement. For me, it was behind a.
And Anne Hathaway, and I can't remember what the other lady was, and we just all had to switch off on different times and different chemistry, and it was funny, because Lee Daniels was the director, so we all doing our scenes, and it was just a great opportunity to be in the same building, acting with phenomenal talent, and I remember because Lee Daniels is a close friend, and I was like, Lee, what happened? And he was like, look, Nick, you're a phenomenal actor, but you ain't never smoked crack. You're goddamn right.
Well,
not to say any of them other ones have, but I'm just saying, I was probably, my youthful exuberance that didn't get me all the way to where I was supposed to, because I remember killing those scenes.
You think they're gonna make the movie?
That's a heavy one, man. There's so much involved. At the time I had talked, with his daughters, his wife at the time. It's a heavy story, man. Yeah. And if they do make it, I hope they do it justice. So I remember early on that, you know, Eddie was going to do it. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh, that would have been amazing.
Yes.
And I think, first of all, I definitely think Mike should have got. Shouts out to Marlon, who's also a phenomenal. But Mike embodied that. Like, and
he kind of look. I mean,
like,
with a little makeup, he definitely gonna be looking like Rich.
But I mean, whoever gets it, man, like it's. I've been attached to, you know, a lot of those different biopics, and you know, those are tricky. You know what I mean? Because you have the admiration and the love from the fans, and if you don't do it right, they're gonna tear you up. Yeah, and you want to create your own identity too, because there's some people who play roles so well that that's all they become. You know, so again, I'll step up to the opportunity if it makes sense and if it's aligned correctly. But I just love a great role and a great character, and that would have definitely been one of them.
You were also in Love Don't Cost a Thing with Christina Milian and Steve Harvey. How was that experience?
Super fun. You know, again, that was one of those things where I was always focused on my pen. And, you know, I was like, the only way I'll do this movie is I get to do, you know, my draft and do things. So a lot of that. So I named the movie Love Don't Cost a Thing, because I was at the time when Jennifer Lopez had that hit song. And it was based off of a movie from the 80s called Can't Buy Me Love, which is also a Beatles song. So I was like, yo, we got to find a hot song today that kind of says the same thing. So like stuff like that, I was real intricate in kind of moving it around. And I had no idea it was going to be, you know, this cult classic fan favorite to this, you know, generation or the generation previous, because we were just like, oh, I'm going to be honest, like I did that movie for the check. And that's one of those things like, that was probably the last time I did something for a check, because it was like, all right, I could go do this independent film, Crash, yeah, or I could go buy my mama a house, you know, and I kind of did it for that. But also they gave me the creativity, and that's the space that I was on. I was all about writing, directing, and producing. So I got to cut my teeth on that. And it ultimately just came out to be like a cute little sweetheart movie that people grew up on and grew up loving.
Literally and figurative, huh?
Yeah.
You ended up.
Oh, absolutely. You know me, I'm focused on my leading lady. That's what I'm just doing my job.
You're not supposed to do that though.
No, you are. If you are a good actor, ask Sean Penn. Like you supposed to dive into the character. You supposed to fall in love
on camera
and off too. That's a sign of a great. That's one of them Hollywood secrets that people do not talk about, is that people will go do a movie and whoever that chemistry, they make it real. Like they get a pass because I was in character.
Well, Brad Pitt,
you was in them draws is what you was in.
Well, we saw that with Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie.
They do. That's what they do, man. Like, and it's the best of them. And it gets to a space where if you really want that chemistry to work, you got to figure out where that.
But then what happens when they break up?
On to the next movie.
Did you write a song make a song about you?
That was so long ago. But yeah, it was a lot. You know, I was focused on being a gigolo and being that ladies' man. So I wasn't trying to be kind out here. I was a sniper in these streets. And I was young. I would do things differently. With many broken hearts, I apologize. But that was definitely probably one of the louder ones. And I wish, you know, hindsight, sitting back in my 40s.
You should have left alone. Just kept it on screen and then keep it.
Nah, but it was a great time. We had an amazing young romance.
If I would ask her that, you think she'd say that?
I would be so interested in what she thought. Because first of all, we were young. She had worse relationships after me since then. Okay. So I think I probably fared, and I believe she's married now. So I think I was probably one of the good ones. I would land on the good guy side with her. Okay. But you know, I was outside a little bit.
We talked about Chappelle a little bit earlier, but how do you get your name in the Chappelle Show skit?
Funny enough, again, we knew each other. He was big bro, and when I would see him outside of the comedy club, so he kind of always recognized my success and was really proud of me, because he's like, "Yo, I remember you was just a kid like I was." Yeah. But randomly, we got a call one day, respectfully, you know what I mean? Because every Chappelle Show was hot, you know. So he was filming the second season, and he was like, "Yo, I'm gonna do this skit about you stealing all my movie roles," and I was like, "Huh?" And he's like, "And my son's gonna be your biggest fan." And I was like, you know, at the end of the skit, I'm gonna say, "It can." And I was like, "That sounds hilarious." And then it kind of became an ongoing skit. I think we did it like 2 or 3 times
Right.
that season. Ultimately, I think on the season finale. And I mean, you know, Art Imitating Life,
right,
or the other way around, because that episode was about him saying, I'm leaving the industry and all that stuff. And then he's walking down the street and I'm walking with his son. And he's like, it's my new dad now. And like, but that actually happened during a time where he was thinking about actually leaving the show. And it's funny because he allowed me to go on the road and open up with him, or open up for him. So I was out there with him for, you know, a couple of months where I saw him, you know,
he was wrestling with the idea.
Yeah, man. And it inspired me to see how he stood 10 toes down for who he was and wasn't gonna, you know, because it was people that was close to him that he was like, yo, wait, are y'all laughing with me or are you laughing at me?
Right.
Type of vibe. And I got to see him work through that and be next to my brother. And like I said, it inspired me even in the decisions that I made with my career, with, you know, holding on to integrity and stuff. So I salute him for that opportunity all the way to just being a great example to this day.
Well, I heard that he had a conversation where he's saluted Eddie Murphy received a Lifetime Achievement Award or something, and he says he's thinking about bringing the Chappelle Show back.
That'd be fire.
It would. You think you could? You think he could replicate?
How y'all feel about him bringing the Dave Chappelle Show back? Not Nick Cannon, but Dave Chappelle bringing the Dave Chappelle Show back, man. You know, people is a lot more sensitive these days, and Dave Chappelle has no filter when it comes to a lot of things. And I didn't really watch Dave Chappelle growing up. That used to be one of the big arguments me and my partners used to have. Me, Q, and them used to have, because when we was growing up, that's all they used to watch, and that's all they used to talk about and make fun of. So I would love to see it now, to see how it would be. I probably will watch it now as I'm older.
It because, man,
I only think, like, you always say you don't want to touch greatness, you know what I mean? But I think if he's not going to do it the same way,
right? Okay.
I mean, even in time when I think it's still the spirit. Obviously, he's go beyond belief. He's at different stages.
You talk about the greatest comedians of all time. Now, you know, now you have to have this conversation. Dave Chappelle is somewhere around that top 3, and I'm not so
absolutely. Gotta come back in tandem.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That's what, and it's like Chappelle Show was so.
My bad, y'all. If y'all heard somebody on the other line, I be balancing out stuff, trying to deal with my kids stuff while I'm doing my live. So y'all bear with me. If y'all see me walking away, man, that's because I be dealing with stuff, trying to balance out the father's life and dealing with the podcast. But like I was saying earlier, man, I would like to see the Dave Chappelle Show come back, just to see what it would be like in this era, and what I know he was saying that he would only come back if Eddie Murphy would pay Charlie Murphy's part. I think that would be good. I just don't know how funny, because it's like, I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. It's not too many older cats. Like, once my generation has gotten older, and I mean Martin, Eddie Murphy, Cat Williams, just the older crew, bro, it's not as funny as it used to be. And I think that's just as you mature, bro. Like, a lot of the toxic stuff that I grew up off of and stuff, that like the early things, that's why I go watch the old Martins, the old movies and stuff, because that was the most funniest, the most raw. Now everybody experienced so much, and they be talking about health problems and family problems that ain't as funny as the toxic world. You get what I'm saying? Like, it was different things when you was watching the old Eddie Murphy when they was younger and raw and coming up, and they had no filter. And I just say that because in a way where it's like, I don't know, man. I just would have to see how it would turn out, how it would be, man. But I got like 10 more minutes, and then I'm gonna do a part 2 to this extended version because it's kind of long. But yeah,
great.
It was,
and it was at a different time, and he's become the greatest stand-up of all time.
Yes.
So it's like, all right, you kind of just got to be like, it was what it was, and I'll do something new or different.
Right.
But the fact that he's considering even playing in that space, and then because we have, brilliant minds like Drewski and all that stuff who are really just paying homage to what they seen Dave do in certain spaces.
Well, Key and Peele came behind him and did what they did.
Yeah.
But if you go back and think about sequels, only the Godfather sequel was better than
that's the only one.
To go back,
Beverly Hills Cop 2 might have been them might be the only two sequels that was better than the original.
Funny that you said that. You said Drewski. What do you think about Drewski? He's caught a lot of criticism for they said it was not a mocking. He was mocking Erica Kirk.
Yeah.
He did another one about the minister.
Yeah.
He's done a country guy with overalls on and white face.
Yeah.
Where are you? I mean, you're a comedian.
Yeah.
So you understand the space.
I remember when he did it. I mean, obviously because being a character actor as well. I remember when he first did it, I sent him a screenshot. I was like, be careful, I got canceled doing this before.
Yeah.
It was me as Connor Smallnut. I did this whole thing where I did I had to go on Good Morning America and explain what whiteface was.
Right.
I was like, whiteface are some mountains in New York. That's like that. Like blackface is a whole different thing. I remember having to go through everything that he, is currently going through.
Right.
And people get sensitive, man. People get really sensitive. But as a comedian, that's your purpose. It's to hold that mirror up into society and say, look, this is what y'all do. This is what y'all about. And that's when brilliance is operating, when somebody can make people uncomfortable but still make them laugh.
I think that there was a time that probably wouldn't even got a passing thought, and people would. I mean, the comedians like you grew up listening to and that you grew up loving, and what I grew up with in the 80s and 90s. And it's kind of coming back to that, because for a long time, you get canceled. You couldn't say, like, roast.
Yeah.
You remember how the roast was with Dean Martin had those roasts, and they had Lucille Ball, and they had even sitcoms. Man, what Archie Bunker would say on those sitcoms.
Crazy.
What George
Jefferson and Archie Bunker was saying nigga in prime time TV.
With the two G's.
Yeah.
It wasn't no G. It was ER
at the end of it. And they were just saying, it was regular on TV. And it's interesting that we say that, because again, it just speaks to how people want to elevate and become better, which I have no problem with. But sometimes when just because you're more sensitive, doesn't mean you're actually going in the right direction.
Okay.
So I think people, somebody told me this brilliant statement. It was like, people are only sensitive about the truth. And if it's a lie or something like that, it'll just go by. But if it hits something inside you, like, ooh, it's ringing some truth in there. So therefore, that's what makes it. It's that one tooth that hurt and that air hit it.
Yeah.
That's why you sensitive, because they're really hitting on something that's poignant. So,
all right, y'all. So I'm stopping right now at 1 hour, 24 minutes and 19 seconds. That's where I will start at when I do my second part of this extended version of the Club Shay Shay Nick Cannon interview. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about the first part, man, of it. If you already watched it, let me know how you feel about the second part. If you already watched the whole thing, and how y'all feel about Nick Cannon. Do you like him? Do you feel like he's corny? Do you feel like he's whack? Do you feel like he's a good businessman? What do y'all think about him? In my opinion, bro done did his thing. I don't be studying a little corny shit, because like I say, everybody got their own lane and everybody got their own way, bro. Bro ain't been, yeah, he got a whole bunch of kids. He take care of his responsibility, though. I know people that only got one child and don't even take care of their responsibility. So you gotta respect, bro, for just his work ethic and everything he's been through, man. But I'm gonna get up out of here, y'all. This is the extended version of the Same Goes Different Struggle podcast, y'all. I am your host, Ajay Brown. I appreciate everybody that has subscribed, comment, is resharing and reposting my content. I appreciate y'all. I'm gonna do an episode tomorrow on football, and probably maybe get into politics tomorrow. But I'm gonna get up out of here, y'all. Rest